Hola, familia, and welcome to the first episode of Love Your Now Comadres, Fire and Butterflies. And I'm your host, Comadre Cristal, and I'm so excited about today. First, I really want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you for being on this episode and just seeing what I'm about. This episode, I really wanted to kind of introduce myself and be able to really show you what I'm about and who I am. This podcast, as I said in my trailer, and I will say multiple times, it's really all about vulnerability, authenticity, courage, love, and fire and butterflies. And it all is with the intention to help others heal and give others the inspiration, the motivation to keep going on their spiritual healing journey. And so yeah, that's what this is all about. So let's start off. As you all know, my name is Cristal and I I have been on this journey of life for 34 years. Um 34, God, 34. I didn't, it's so funny. I never really think about how old I am until like I have to say how old I am or someone asks. But it's interesting now that I say this out loud because 34, wow. I don't feel 34. Um, I feel older mentally, spiritually, physically. I feel like I'm in my 30s. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel like. And like, I mean, I don't feel in my 20s, that's for sure. Trust me. So if any of you, comadres, compadres, comextres, if you're in your 20s, enjoy them. Because once you hit 30, everything starts acting weird and funny. But anyways, yeah, so I'm 34 and it's been an interesting 34 years. Clearly, I don't remember the moment I came out of the womb. Some people do, and I think that's great. I don't. Mm-mm. But I also don't remember a lot of my childhood because I grew up in a toxic environment, and my coping mechanism has been to block those memories. And part of my healing journey is to unblock some of those memories and go through that pain and through that hurt to really heal. So, throughout this podcast, all these episodes, you'll probably hear about this. I won't go into too much today because I do want to keep this episode kind of lighthearted. But yes, so I was born in Mexico. I was born in my grandmother's great grandmother, actually, and it wasn't my grandmother, my great grandmother's house. She was a midwife, and my mom, that's where she gave birth to me. And I came out in March. I am a triple fire. So if you know about signs, great. And if you don't, that's cool. This part, you probably are like, okay, I don't understand. But I am an Aries sun and rising and a Sagittarius moon. So I'm very fiery. And my personality has always been very fiery and something I'm very proud of. So fast forward because again, lots has happened in my childhood, but I I really want to today's episode, I really want to emphasize about my rock bottom. And I call it a rock bottom because everyone has different rock bottoms. And here's the most interesting part. Everyone will have multiple rock bottoms. I have had multiple rock bottoms. But the one that I know was a rock bottom that really shook me to my core. And I would say was probably the pivotal point in my life where everything changed was when I was 17 years old. I was a freshman in college. I was out for the first time in my life, out of my house. I was out of my parents' house. I was doing my own thing. And my dad his journey ended on this earth. And I remember like that was the point where I God, so many feelings came up, so many things. As I said earlier, I grew up in an alcoholic household. Well, I didn't say alcoholic, I said toxic. Surprise, it was an alcoholic household. My dad was the alcoholic. And and so already growing up with those dynamics, my dad was not a violent alcoholic towards me or my siblings. He was violent towards my mom. So I did grow up with domestic violence in the household. Um and and so there was a lot of those what I now call daddy issues or father wounds that I've developed as a child. And as a teenager, for the first time in college, now knowing that my dad died was really like it shook me. And on top of that, there was multiple layers. The first layer was we weren't even living in the same state at that point anymore. By the time I was 17, we were living in California because I grew up in Illinois. And at 16, my mom finally decided to leave my dad. And I say finally with a very like with lots of admiration and love for my mom because I also am very well aware leaving an abusive household or leaving someone who's causing harm is not so easy. It's not just like, "Oh, let's pick up our bags and go." Like there's multiple layers there. Um and so when I say she finally, it's because it took my mom, I wanna say and I won't go into too much because that's her story, but as a child witnessing it, I remember attempting to leave multiple times in my childhood with my mom, and it just never happened until I was 16, and my mom finally said, "Okay, let's go." And it was until literally, like, a year and a half later where my dad ended up dying and he was alone. So there was that added layer. He lived in another state. The add layer that he ended up passing alone. No one was there, and they actually didn't find the body until days later. So there was that layer. And then the added layer of there was so much that I never got to tell my dad. And so then there was a lot of like closures that I didn't get to have. And and that was hard. That was hard. Being a 17-year-old girl in college, trying to discover who she is, trying to find out what she's all about, and then having the first man that she truly loved out of this world and then not knowing what a healthy relationship ever looked like. Yeah, that was when my life just boom. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I was already doing a lot of things as a teenager that I look back and I reflect, I'm like, "What was I thinking?" But my dad's passing was absolutely the pivotal point in my life. And so, fast forward, because again, you'll throughout my podcast, you'll hear my story. Don't just trust. I will share. I'm an open book. I truly believe we are as sick as our secrets. So I don't have any secrets. I mean, there's probably things about me that I have shame about, but that's exactly the thing. If there's shame, that means I need to work through that. And so this podcast is a perfect example to just be able to share this. Um, so yeah, anyways, I tend to go off tangent, so I will try to keep it focused. And so, fast forward, lots of unhealthy relationships, lots of learning, lots of failure, lots of growing up. Lots happened from the moment my dad passed away to today, to this episode. And it's been a journey. It's been a journey. Now, why is this all important when it comes to Love Your Now Comadre or the podcast Fire and Butterflies? It's because it was that point when I started to realize I needed help. I needed to figure out how I could do this. when after my dad passed, I went into therapy for the first time ever in my whole life. I went into therapy and I didn't know what to expect. I really didn't. I remember thinking like, "Oh, it's just going to be that person sitting in the chair with their glasses, writing on their notebook and me laying on a chase lounge." Yeah, no. My first therapy session was not like that at all. It was at college, so it was over at CSU Chico where I attended school. And it was a very, very cool young lady. I remember she was new. She was a student. I think she was training or something. I can't remember, but um I just remember being able to talk to someone else about my dad, about my relationship with him, about my relationship with myself, um, without any fear of judgment was really great, and I remember I liked it. Problem was, and this is and I reflecting now, the problem was I was in this mentality that I was the martyr, like I was the victim, like it was like all these terrible things keep happening to me. Why me? Why me? Like I'm a good person. I'm a good like I do this, like blah blah blah. And so whenever the therapist would give me suggestions, I wouldn't do them. Like I wouldn't do the homework. I wouldn't do the thing because it's like, why? Why do I need to do the work when it's someone like everyone else is the problem but me? Yeah, yeah. I really had that mentality for a long time. Very long time. Um and it really wasn't until I was about 29. 29? No, no, I was younger than 29, like 27, 28. I met this amazing woman. Her name's Lynette. And when I met Lynette, it was just it was like meeting someone that I had known my whole life. And I got connected with her because she used to own and run a haunted attraction here in my hometown of Modesto. And every Halloween that she would put this huge, huge event at her in the front yard and like build this haunted house maze from the ground up. And I love Halloween is my favorite holiday. And so I was all about it. And one year I saw that she was looking for members for casts to participate in this. And I was like, sign me fucking up for this. And so I did. I signed up and I met her and I just fell in love with her soul. Like oh, Lynette, she's just such an amazing person. She was the kind of person that you just automatically loved her and became her friend and she just accepted you for who you were wholeheartedly. Um she was amazing. And she was the one who introduced me to spirituality, but in the concept of really tapping into energy. And that was the first time I ever heard of it. I grew up Catholic, okay? Catholic. So spirituality for me was just like you pray, you the persinas, like you bless yourself, and that's it. And like that is you being spiritual. And oh, and make sure you don't sin. Because I'm Catholic. That was also very well instilled in me. We don't sin. And if you sin, you go talk to a priest, and then the priest will tell you what to do, and then your sins are forgiven. That was spirituality to me. And when I met Lynette, she introduced me to crystals, to herbs, to candle work, and to tarot cards. And I remember thinking, oh my God, Lynette, we can't do this. This is witchcraft. This is brujeria. Oh my God, I can't do this. Like I was scared, you guys, scared. And and Lynette with her wisdom and her love was like, it's okay, Crystal. Like, I'm never gonna force you to feel this. Like whenever you're comfortable, hey, this is what I'm about. And I'm like, okay. But we kept our friendship and she started doing tarot readings for me. And it was just so mind blowing how when she would do a reading, I would be like, I how did you know that? How did you know this? And it was just so beautiful. And I opened up to Lynette about a lot of issues and a lot of things I've had and all that jazz. Fast forward because again, I could talk about I will make an episode about Lynette because she's such a beautiful soul that I was blessed to have in my life. But fast forward to 2018 when I was at that point now I was like 20, 28, 29. And Lynette was diagnosed with cancer, pancreatic cancer. And we were terrified. We were scared. It was scary. I mean, she was so young. She was in her late mid 40s, actually. Yeah, she wasn't even that, like, she was in her mid 40s. She was so young. And I remember thinking, why God? Like, why her? Like, of all people in this world. I will say this. I don't wish cancer on anyone. Anyone. I was in that place, in a very dark place in my life because I again remember what I said earlier. I was always in that mentality of why me? Like I'm the victim of all these things. And that was how I had that relationship with God. Like, okay, God already took my dad away. Why is God gonna take this amazing woman away? Like, and so I had a lot of that kind of mentality. And so I was devastated because I didn't want to lose her. I really didn't. And it was hard and it was scary. And and the reason why we were all like, at least I was feeling like, oh shoot, like this is it, was because it was pancreatic cancer. Um Her dad had already passed from the same cancer. And statistically, pancreatic cancer is a tough one. And so it was really hard. But Lynette remained optimistic and remained hopeful. And I got to I would then at that point set the intention to spend more time with her, especially because losing my dad suddenly and unexpectedly also like left me at a very young age, gave me that reminder, life is short. Life is absolutely short. It's not promised. Tomorrow's not promised. And so I was like, I'm going to spend as much time as I can with Lynette because I don't want to have the regrets that I had with my dad. I don't want to have them with her. And so, yeah, we did. We spent more time together. We went out dancing. We'd go out and just have a good time. And don't get me wrong, there was times where it was hard for her too, because she was going through treatment and the her emotions, she fell into depression and it was really hard. But I was that friend who was there to remind her, like, let's go. Like, life is short. Like, it, if you're gonna die, at least die knowing that you had the best time ever. Um, and so we'd always go out and yeah. And then she did pass. And and that was in 2020. So it was during the pandemic when everything was shut down. And it was even harder because during that time when everything was shut down, I also, to protect her, was staying away from her because, at this point we didn't know anything about this. And it was just like, I don't want to get her sick. I don't want and so I didn't get to see her as much as I wanted to, but I still made the attention. I texted her all the time. And and it was hard. I was blessed to be there on her last day. And I was blessed that loved me so much that she wanted me to be there with her friends and her family. And I did. I got to see her take her last breath, and I cherish her and her memories so much every day. And so after she died, after passed, I fell into my own depression. I fell into this feeling of like, oh, like, holy shit, like life really is short. And and I always remembered that she had this belief in me because, oh, backtrack to the tarot reading. She would always tell me, Cristal, you have a gift. Use it. And I'm like, girl, I don't have a gift. I don't know how to read tarot cards. And so she started teaching me. And then there was a class that was being offered by someone that I also know. And we took the class together and I learned so much. And I was like, I could do this. I do have a gift. So after she passed, I I was like, okay, I got to do something. I have to do something for her in her memory because I don't want Lynette's memory to just go. Like, no, her soul was so pure, so loving. And I felt like I needed to continue something for her because right before she passed, she started her own YouTube channel. She started her own Instagram. She was trying to take her tarot reading services to the next level. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it too. And I decided to create Love Your Now Tarot because I wanted to continue the tarot business that she had started. And the reason why I said Love Your Now was because Lynette, everyone called her Lynn, or Nettie, and I like I like Lynn. I don't know what it is about Lynn. I've always loved it, and I took Lynn, Lyn, from her name Lynette, and I looked at it. I'm like, how can I make this into an acronym? Like, how can I incorporate Lynn from her name into my business name? And when I looked at the acronyms, I was like, "Oh my god, Love Your Now." That is perfect because that's exactly what she taught me. And not just what she taught me, but also what she instilled in me, especially in the last couple years of her life, was to love your now. Because that's all you can do. Life is going to come at us all the time. Life is unfair at times. Life is hard. Life is a fucking mess. But all we can do is love our now. And I learned that with her. I learned that when my dad died, and then I was reminded of that with her passing. So love your now, and then tarot because I wanted to do tarot readings and I wanted to do those services. Fast forward, lots have happened from that point when I went open for business. Lots have happened. Lots happened. Um, and again, multiple episodes for that. Trust me, lots happened. But fast forward to Love Your Now Comadre when I decided to rebrand. I needed to rebrand because Love Your Now Tarot it just wasn't resonating with me anymore. It didn't feel like it was who I was because again, it felt like I was doing something for someone else, not for me. Um, and so when I meditated and rebranded, I was like, I want to keep Love Your Now because that is important. But tarot just didn't feel right. Because yes, I'm a tarot reader, but I'm more than just a reader. And 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 everyone, like, and so I really wanted to think about that, and it was a conversation that I was having with a friend one time because I did a reading for her, and it's so funny. This friend is like, I'm her comadre, and she's my comadre. For those of you who don't speak Spanish, a comadre is someone who is like your really good friend or your confidant. It's also the person who baptizes your child. Like in the eyes of God, this is the person that is supposed to guide your child on their spiritual journey with God, um, in a Catholic sense. And so I baptized her daughter, and so I became her comadre, but we were already best friends. Anyways, I was doing a reading for her, and I was just sharing it and helping her and just helping her process all of this. And I remember she was like, Cristal, I don't know how you do it, but like every time I talk to you, I just feel so much better. Thank you so much for always listening. Like you really are a great comadre. And at that moment, it hit me like, that's that's what I am. That's who I am, a comadre. Especially because Lynette always said the same thing. Like Lynette always kept saying, like, there was something about me that she could just talk about and share and open up. Because trust me, like there like with anyone, I always have the most beautiful deep conversations, and it just comes easy to me. And so I was like, "Oh my god, love your now comadre." That's what it is. And I also get to incorporate my roots, incorporate my beliefs, incorporate my Mexican culture. And so that's what I started doing. I ended up rebranding into Love Your Now Comadre. And then I rebranded into being a spiritual life coach because what I was doing with my tarot reading, what I didn't realize was I was already coaching people. I just didn't have the structure to do that. And then I was like, okay, I don't have the structure, but I want to have the structure. Let's do it. And so now fast forward through all of that journey of rebranding and learning about who I am as a comadre cristal, I am here today. Um, and that's what Love Your Now Comadre is all about. It is about creating the space and creating the love for people to be themselves, to be vulnerable, to be authentic, to have courage, and to just know that through all of this, love is always there. Because my journey has not been easy, has been fucking hard. And I'm not saying like, oh, I want like all of our journeys are not easy. All of our journeys are fucking hard. And that's what I love so much about Love Your Now Comadre is that I'm able to create the space for people to show up authentically, for people to show up with their vulnerabilities and still know through all of that how courageous they are and how much I still love them and how much God still loves them. And so yeah, that is my journey as a spiritual life coach in a nutshell because again, there's just so many layers there. But I'm really excited about this and so yeah, it's been an interesting journey thus far. This being my first episode, I wanted like I said I wanted it to be brief because I could talk. I'm a talker. But I also want to respect everyone else's energy because it also is draining to hear someone talk and talk and talk. So that's a brief introduction. I I don't have a structure. I will be honest and transparent. I don't have a structure for this podcast yet. I don't know if I'm going to be doing this like on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. I am at a place where I'm just going with the flow. And so I'm going to make an episode whenever I feel called to do it. So just be open to it. Just hit the subscription, just get the little notification bell when a new episode will be posted. You'll get the notification. I'll share it on my social media pages and everything. But yeah, this podcast is all about helping and guiding and transformation because that's what all of us we all need help. We all need guidance and we're all transforming all through this journey called life. And so I'm excited about this. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited and I'm so blessed and I'm so fortunate that if you're listening to this, you are making my reality amazing. Anyways, yeah, I love you all so much. And with all of this, I am sending you all so much fire and butterflies. And as always, don't forget, love your now. Bye.